Hello everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well. We'll give everybody a minute. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. How's everybody doing today? Hey Wendy, how are you? I was trying to get rid of some outdoor things on Facebook, and of course everyone messages me just the moment that I'm ready to go live, so we will give everybody a minute here. Hi Julie, hi Linda. Have you guys, hey Tamara, have you guys had a chance to look at these new colors? They are very nice. I'm going to grab myself a baby wipe. And a glass of water. You got the sky, it's really nice, hey? I am thirsty. It was so beautiful out, and it's clouded over a bit, but still very nice. We actually got out for a walk today. Hi, Julie. Dina's products are awesome. They are, aren't they? Yeah, they're nice, bright colors. And I did mix these with some of the other ones. Let's get out a little bit here. So, and then I ended up doing so I made the backgrounds. Hi, Carrie. Home just in time, yeah. And then did a little bit of stamping on there, and we even did some painting with the gloss spray. So that was fun. There's this one. I used some of the Tim Holtz sticker book for the sentiments, but if you had a nice kind of chunky sentiment that you wanted to die cut and put on there, that would look nice too. And you can see like the gloss sprays have such a really nice glossy finish on them. They really are beautiful. You can kind of see. I used the Vicky Bouton Foundations paper, and it's such a really great weight of paper. I'm really liking using it for any kind of mixed media or just a really good sturdy surface. Thanks, Sheila. Yeah, they're really nice and bright. There's just a tag. And so I think the whole thing is just kind of enjoying the process of creating. The sentiments, Wendy, are from, I've had this forever, and I don't know if this is still in the shop or anything. You might still be able to find it. This is the Small Talk book from Ideology. There's amazing. Hi, Carol. So this has a bunch of sentiments that are black with white, and then the white with the black words. It's been really great. It's there's a few different, like he has, I think, chit chat, but this is the small talk one. So there's some really nice quotes in there, which I've really liked, and I've used them quite a bit. Another thing to use is sometimes those 12 by 12 sticker sheets have, like I know Simple Stories, they sometimes have at the bottom some words. You could grab those too. Oh, you're welcome. This one, really loved this. So we're gonna do a little bit of that spray and flip technique and kind of just play. Oh yes, Tamara, that would be really good. That was Tim Holtz, hey? It was a snarky one, I think. That one would be great. There's some great elements. I just happened to grab into my drawer for that, but that one would be good too. And then this was just leftover paint on the stencil and just making some background. So you can really get a lot from just your spraying and your flipping and really have fun playing with it. And then I will cut these up and do these into backgrounds. Then you could ink over this and this paint will resist. So there's some really neat ideas. And before we start, so let me move this out of the way. I did just want to quickly show you, I know Sandy got a couple more of these in. There's only a couple left. And this one was the Cottage Fields Simple Stories flip book. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because on my YouTube channel, I actually have the whole thing if you want to see everything. So if you look under Karla Youngworth, but you get all the supplies that you need to create this book and the instructions. And I think it's like $50 and it comes with everything. It's really nice. So I had done a couple pages on the Creative Scrapbooker live on their Facebook page a while ago. After these two, yeah, that's it, because there's only 2 left, but she was able to get enough supplies. People were really excited about it, so I just wanted to let you know that was back in if you want to check it out. And if you need a link or anything, let me know and I can send that to you after. We also have these papers. I know Sandy kind of quickly showed you the other day, but they're gorgeous, and I wanted to pull them out just to show you how beautiful. They would even go really nicely with our mixed media, but anyway, I digress. These ones are, there's a few different kinds. These ones are the Earth. So it's by Craft Consortium, which has some beautiful papers, and it's the Ink Drops Earth. And so you've got some really beautiful earthy colors. They have colors on both sides, or they're patterned on both sides, and it's like an alcohol ink background. And then they even have areas, it's not metallic, but when you look at it, it looks metallic. It looks like it has that thread of the alloys going through there. Just really beautiful colors. So those just came in. And I love playing with alcohol inks, but I know sometimes you just want a background or you want some paper to mat something, you know, like if you have your backgrounds and then you're looking like that blue kind of go really nice, and it's not a full-on pattern, but it has some variations in it and it's really beautiful. And then you also have the 12 by 12 in the same patterns. So you can either cut them up or use them for a full background with your other pattern papers. Do some die cutting out of it. So those are really gorgeous. I love those blues and greens. I keep coming back to those. Hi, Michelle. Like, look at that. So pretty. Anyway, those are new. There is a bunch of new stuff if you look under the May 1st. And then, where did I put it? Oh. The Creative Scrapbooker magazine. This is in the shop now if you don't have one. And you can pick that up. And this is the summer 2021 issue. And you've got all kinds of amazing projects. Lots of people that we know. So it's always great for inspiration and to look through. So you can pick that up as well. That's new in the shop. Let me see here. All right, let's pull this stuff out. I am going to let you look at this, and I just need to grab my iPad because, like I said, I was messaging people about picking something up, and then the lady I thought I gave my address to, I did not. So have a look, decide what your favorite color is, and tell me what I should, while I reply to this lady, what color should I start with? I think I started with the red and the orange last time. All right. Goodness gracious. So what do you think? What color should we start with? Hi, Barbara. I've got some of this Foundations paper, which is great. Really loving it. And then at the end, don't let me forget, I found 15 ways to use a heat gun. So someone was asking Sandy, what are some other ways we could use or other things to use a heat gun for other than just embossing powder? Blue, perfect. Okay, let's move these out of the way. And I came up with a bunch after surveying my crafty friends. So I'm just laying this in. And so with the Foundations paper, you get the big 12 by 12 pad, and I cut it down. And on one side, on the front side, when you're looking through the pad, it's got a gessoed kind of gessoed, I want to say cover, but it's not a cover, but anyway, on the front. And all I did was mark a little B on the back, because if you use, a gessoed side, that's what I was trying to say. So it's going to spread and move around on the front side better than the back, although both are nice sturdy sides and will work well. But if you just want to kind of keep in mind the front, then you're going to have better luck with everything moving around. Hi, Helen. So I'm going to put it in this old shoebox just so I don't spray over everything, but you'll see what we're going to do. And I'm just going to grab a rig, so we have that here. And we're going to grab some stencils. So I have the Vicky Bouton. These are really great, especially for mixed media ones. So we've got the Fresh and we've got the Bubbles. And so these are both still in stock. And you can see they come with three different stencils in the pack. This one here, I like it because it's like that color wheel type look to it. And this one is in the Bubbles stencil. They're really, really great price point for 3 stencils. It's really awesome. Just gonna move that out of the way here. So what we want to do is we want to shake it around. How do I store them when I'm not using them? I have them in these tins, Wendy. So these are the Distress Spray tins. And if you're looking for these, I think you can, I'm not sure if they're in right now, but if they're not, you can either put your name down to be notified, or you can ask Sandy. You can email Sandy at scrapshotz.com. I actually do store them on the side, just in a cupboard. Now, when I took them out, I didn't use them all, but I don't normally have a problem with them plugging. There were 2 the other day when I pulled a bunch of sprays out that weren't spraying, and I find just soaking them in some warm water, sometimes even taking, so if they're not spraying, I take the top off, rinse it, I put it in the water and pump it while it's in the water so that the water goes through it. If it's still not spraying, I'll pull the bottom thing off. It just comes off and then goes back in. And then this part as well will pull off. So I soak it And then sometimes if you look, this part will be a little bit plugged, and I just put a pin in and it usually pops right out if you've already soaked it. And you can push this back on. I'm gonna try not to spray myself. I've had 2 that I couldn't get to work, but only 2. And normally when I just soak them and then kind of put warm water through the nozzle, it actually does work fine. So hopefully that helps. You can order the replacement sprayers if you're worried about it. Sandy can order those for you if you want to email her. But normally that's worked for me. There's also lots of other ways to use it other than spraying. So if you find that you don't spray them a lot, I wouldn't even worry about it, because you can paint with them, and I like actually taking the top off and flicking and making splats. But if you do want to make sure that you can spray it, that's what I would do. And also every time I use it, I will take a wipe or a wet rag and wipe off the top before I put the cover back on. So hopefully that helps. There have been a couple that I just couldn't get to work, but sometimes that happens. It is paint through a sprayer, and I think we just have to do the best we can. So you put it side to side, but I've had the other ones for a long time. And really, like I said, one that clogged that I just couldn't get to work and had to get a replacement sprayer. So I'm gonna spray this through. We'll do blue mostly. And I'm just going to grab this wipe. And so I just get into a habit of wiping it automatically and putting the cover right back on. And then let's take, you know what, and I haven't tested all these, so there might be some that actually need to be soaked, but we'll try it. You do want to make sure you mix it up so that the paint on the bottom, you can't really see it. This one here is mineral. So this one that I just sprayed is the sky, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So we'll spray a little bit of that sky there and just wipe that off. And then what we're going to do is take this off, and this is where our flipping technique comes in. Now what you can do, we're just going to move that out of the way because it doesn't matter if it dries a little bit, but we do want to use this wet. I'm just kind of seeing what I have here. I'm going to grab a plain piece of cardstock. So this is just 110 pound white cardstock. And I'm going to turn this over and just lay it down. So you pull it up and you've got this really pretty design now that you're going to be able to cut out, die cut, do whatever you want. You can spray over this after, but then what we can do is put this here, grab our water, because there's still a little bit of ink on here. So you can really get a lot of use out of this. And I find the paint does stay on the stencils, but I honestly don't worry about that. I feel like, see, isn't that beautiful? Then you get this watercolored, beautiful look. Now we could then go over this and spray it. And the neat part about this is that the paint itself resists each other. So whether it's wet or dry, it's going to resist. We're just going to set this aside for now, and it can be kind of a background we work on later. And then all I'm going to do is just give that a little bit of a wipe. I am not going to try to scrub this paint off because the stencil is still completely usable. It's just stained a little bit, and this just means that I had fun using it. So I really wouldn't worry about it, you know, like trying to get it completely clean. These are your art supplies. This is mixed media. Other than my stencil being a little bit stained, I don't have a big mess. So at this point, probably by the end of the video, my hands will be messy. So then we're going to take our background that we just sprayed, and let's go over it. Let's try the, you know what, let's try the orange. So this one is tangerine. It's a really nice, I think any of these colors go together well, but I think, aren't orange and blue like opposite on the color wheel? I can't. You spend more time cleaning. Yeah, you can get in. I do like kind of rubbing it on the paper, because otherwise I feel like I've got to wipe all the spray off or clean it off, and then it's so time consuming. And this way you have a background that's, you know, completely ready for you to do other stuff with. So then we're just going to spray this on. We're going to give it a really nice big spray and wipe this off. And I've just got, you know, like these are just rags that I'm going to throw in the wash, so it's not, doesn't matter. And you can even see as this starts, as you spray it, and we're going to do some where we just spray them on and leave them and see what happens. Then I'm going to take another piece of this foundations paper and put it on. Now you don't want to leave this on there or it's going to stick, because the paint would act like an adhesive if you left it. But isn't that cool? Then you get this really cool effect from another piece, and we can go ahead and stencil over that in a minute or spray it, and you've got this awesome background. And we'll just let that dry for a minute. Now, if you did want to move this around a bit, you could totally, we'll let that dry for a minute. You could totally go in and add a little bit. It's probably, yeah, that's pretty dry. It's probably not going to move. Once it's completely dry, it's not water soluble. It's not going to move around at all. So that is one background. Here's another background. We can then go in, we can add another color. Actually, let's go in with, let's do red. So for some reason, I think the ball bearing wasn't in. I have two that there's like no ball, or maybe the ball got stuck in the top. And, oh, Carol said, are the small talk stickers still available? Can we order through Sandy? So Carol, I'll get Sandy, or maybe if she's still there, we can get her to check, but we can check with the distributor and see if they're still in, and we'll let you know. Yeah, it is cool. Hey, Christy. So then this one is Ruby. This is the new one. And we're just spraying it on, and you can see as it sits there, it kind of has this effect where it resists each other and moves out of the way. Then if we take some of this lime, so we'll shake this. This is an older one. And I think a lot of these colors are available. And we'll just spray a few little areas of that and kind of let that, you can move it around, you can just let it dry. I know Dina says, you know, just let it dry and not dry it with a heat gun, because it could bubble, but I think it depends on whether you care if it bubbles, or whether, you know, you need it to be dry, or whether, if you can just set it aside. Sandy said, what does everyone think of our chances for a fall crop? I know. What do you think? Well, Apparently everything's open for Stampede, right? So why not? And I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but I hope so, because I really miss, seeing everybody. All right, we're gonna set that aside. Now let's we'll take another piece here. And let's go in with this stencil here. It has the little circles, which is really cool. And we'll do the red. Maybe we'll do red and purple. And I'll probably go back after and just give them a little bit of a better white. It does seem like an aggressive reopening or wishful thinking. I don't know. I'm going to sit back and just see what happens. This is Blackberry. It is so gorgeous. You feel positive about it? That's good. I think that one thing it does do, even if we are being practical and, you know, understanding that it does really depend on the numbers. Isn't this pretty? It does give us hope that it is coming. That's so pretty, and I really love how that red and the purple have blended. So then again, we can take our paper. We could even take the one that we already did and do some layering. This is almost like, you know, you're doing some, it's like a jelly print thing. We can do jelly prints sometimes with this too. So there, oh, that's so gorgeous, hey? And I think it really, I mean, this is fun to play with, but it really shines then when you go back and cut these into pieces and have them for backgrounds. So then let's put this down. I'm just spraying it because I know it's starting to dry. I did have some tags somewhere, but I think maybe I forgot to bring them up. So we'll just continue on with our paper. So if you have some tags pre-cut or some manila tags, like, it looks so pretty, especially watered down too. Thanks, Sandy. Sandy's gonna check on those. So really love this. And the pink or the red watered down is almost like a pink. So this is just an extra piece. I'm just gonna even dab it in, and you're just creating your backgrounds. And then once we have a couple, I'll show you how I did the cards. It's really beautiful. So different than the like the oxides or the ink spray. These are not going, once they're dry, they're not going to move around. So that's even cool, hey? Love it. I don't know if the colors go together with this. It's starting to dry, so we're not going to get a whole lot of other colors on there, but and if it was something we absolutely hated, it's a piece of paper. And if you had fun making it, that's all that matters. I love these colors though, like they're so nice and bright. Yeah, it's very cool. And then I'm just gonna wipe this off and I'm totally fine. There's no ink that's clogging any holes or anything. It's just that it's stained, but it's not going to come off and rub onto anything else. So it really doesn't matter. And these are almost like a piece of art. Okay, and then I'm just gonna show you this stencil. So we had looked at the fresh stencils the other day, but these ones, oh, we didn't spray this. We should spray this with some color. Let's see. Why don't we try this one, Carnation. I think storing them on their side does help. And then I'm even going to come in with a little bit of this magenta. Have you guys had a chance to play with these? What do you think your favorite color is of those new ones? I haven't used this for a while, so see, this isn't really spraying well, so I'll soak this after. But we can still do splatters with it. And we're also going to paint. And then if you want to move it around a little bit, I actually like that pink color, and I'm going to put a little bit on this one too. And we can pull out the white just to do, I really like doing splatters with this, with the white. Okay, maybe we'll, you can see as long as it's not dry, you're still going to get that movement. And don't be afraid to use your fingers either if you want to get in there and move things around. And you can see already it's just really resisting different parts. Yeah, the blue is very nice. I do like having the shoebox because then if I have drips and stuff, it can just stay in there and dry. Now if you do have some extra, we can always still go back in, lay it on top, pull some up, which is really cool too, right? Oh, no problem. Hi, Michelle. The sprays are great, hey? Using your fingers, is that gonna put you over the edge, Michelle? Okay, so then, after I see, I'm starting to get a little bit inky, but it's not too bad. Okay, we still have this piece here. We could go in with we've got the bubbly stencil, if I can find it. You know when you think you're super organized and then you look and you're like, no. Okay, I'm pretty sure I did have it and it's probably, there it is. Ta-da! It might put you over the edge. That's okay, we won't judge you, Michelle, you do you. Okay, let's, you know what, I'm actually gonna go in with the purple. So we've got, this is probably going to seep under a little bit. This, you could use the spray to kind of hold it down, but we are going to wing it. And really, I love this stencil. Okay. I'm gonna pull that up. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. Hey, Stacy. Yes, for sure, the replay will be there. So we'll pull that out. We can even press this onto our stencil and get a really cool negative effect. And let's spray it with a little bit of water. We'll lay this down. And that's super cool, hey? I think the sun is trying to peek out there. All right, I'm gonna wipe this off. We could just keep going, seriously, right? So just with a little bit of playing, we've got 5 smaller backgrounds. And that was with the foundations paper. Then we have our background piece that we made with laying stuff over top. And we'll dry one of these and then do some stamping. So we could leave that like that, or you could totally spray that. It's actually hard not to continue to spray. Okay, I'm just trying to decide what might be the best for stamping on. Maybe this one. I'm just gonna dry this a little bit. And normally I would probably just set them aside for a little while. They actually dry quite quickly, but something like this has some puddles and it's gonna stay wet a little bit longer. This one's pretty dry now, so we can go ahead and stamp on it. I'll put those to the side. And I grabbed those Vicki Boutin stamps. We just got our fence redone and we got a new gate and it sounds so loud when it shuts. Okay. So let's take our little card front. So this is what we kind of did with the other ones. Stamping on it, adding some effects. So we'll play around with that. We used the Vicki Boutin stamps. You're so messy without even using your fingers. That's when you learn distressing is your friend. Yeah, that's true. So I grabbed some archival ink just because I knew it was permanent and that it would stamp on top. If you use a water-based ink, I haven't tried it, but I have a feeling that it probably is going to rub off just because you've got the paint, which is like a plastic. But the archival ink seemed to work really great. Or if you have a permanent, like a StazOn would work great as well. Then I grabbed the stamps. I tell you, I really am liking the color study stamps. So these are Hello, I think this one is called. If you look up Vicki color study stamps, these ones will come up, and I think this one is called It's All Good. But they have so many really cool elements for stamping. So if we kind of did that, you know what we could do? Let's do the color wheel. So we'll stamp the color wheel because I think that's really fun, and I think color wheels are really kind of popular right now. We'll stamp that here. But you could emboss over that, over this, if you wanted to add embossing. That would work well. This is just black ink. This is so fun. Yeah, the front deck is being ripped out and you're probably going to get dragged outside instead of staying in. Sometimes I can see, oh, I can't see the rest of your comment, Tamara. Oh, there we go. Instead of crafting. Now you totally, when I see somebody using the sprays, you know what, actually, I'm not going to use black. I'm going to use, let's use the blue and see if this shows up. Oh, thanks for linking that. So this one is Mermaid Lagoon. I don't think that these are in the store anymore. If it's something you're interested in and you want to see if Sandy can still get it, you can email her. Sandy@scrapshotz.com. But I don't know. They were out a long time ago, so I'm not sure what the deal is with them. I find that these stamps stamp really nicely. Now it's kind of sticking to my paper because it's, so I think it's probably going to move and we're only going to get one impression, so we'll just see. I don't know. I think it didn't show up a ton, so maybe I will go. Just trying to decide. I'm going to go back in with my black, but it is mixed media, and so I don't think you have to worry. We wouldn't really have to. We could also just paint it and then we're going to leave that and then add some paint to it. And I just need to, I need another wipe because I need to wipe off my stamp. There is something, I think, just freeing about spraying a background. Okay, then we could do some of these dots. Let's do the dots, give it kind of a pop of that green. And that one stamped really nicely. I think maybe I just didn't have enough ink on the other stamp, but that's okay. We're going to work with that, and I'm going to show you how to kind of make it pop. So we've got the green dots there. Maybe we'll even put a little bit of green down here. You don't need a stamp press for this. You could just use a stamp block. Okay, so we've got a little bit of green down there, and I love the dots. I love that dot stencil and then the dot stamp. I think it's really great for adding details into the background. And let's add one more thing. Trying to think what I want to actually put on there. I feel like if I had brought some embossing powder up, we could have embossed something, but that's downstairs, so we won't worry about that. But we could let's do the butterfly, because I think the butterfly is really neat. And again, even if that didn't really work and you stuck a sentiment over there, that's totally going to be fine too. So we'll use the black for the butterfly. There, I think that's good. All right, now I'm just gonna move this. So when I did the other cards, I just did all my stamping first, and then I pulled out the paint to kind of play around with that. I also, because this is a slick surface, I would just give it a shot with the heat gun. You could just let it dry, but it is nice to kind of just make sure you're not gonna really smudge anything too much. I don't have my background music on. I wasn't sure about it, Tamara, whether it was too distracting, because I was listening. I don't actually usually go back and watch my lives because I would probably just cringe at me dropping something or whatever, but I didn't know whether it was too distracting or whether it was calming. So what are your thoughts on that? Okay, so we are going to grab a paintbrush, and when I was doing this, I was going through my mind trying to decide whether I felt like I should go in and paint something on top of it. And then I thought, why don't I just use these, because these are paint. And I was really pleased with how it worked out. So we're gonna let's do the red on the butterfly. So again, I always just give it a little shake just before I start. And one thing about this is that these are so easy to knock over, and they're very liquidy. So if you knock it over, it's going to spill. So if you take the cover off to do some flicking, I would hold on to it. Or what I did to paint, so I don't knock it over accidentally, because it's so easy to do. Let's move that over. You can see I just dabbed some paint, and that way I can mix the paint as well. So if I wanted to lighten it up a bit, I could take the white as well, but that way you're not going to knock it over, because it's one of those things that's like Murphy's Law, right? I just have a regular paintbrush. I have some water, a napkin, and really I don't have a lot of supplies out here to do this. So I'm just gonna mix this up, and this is even fun, right? And then you're just painting this in. You don't have to be perfect. And if you want a little bit more of the red, you can go in and add a little bit more of the red. It is going to move around a little bit because it does have that, it's still going to try to resist some of that paint underneath. So it is kind of cool because you actually get to see some of the designs that are underneath. And you don't need a whole lot. The music's calming. Oh, that's good. Okay. Well, that is good to know. Oh yeah, you knocked over your white, I think, Tamara. And I will remember that for next time, and thank you for the feedback. So let's put a little bit more. You don't actually need a lot. We'll do a little bit of red on this color wheel. And I like that if you have the lighter, if you kind of lighten it up and put it on not too heavy, you actually do see what's under there. So then just make sure you rinse out your paintbrush because it is paint, and if it hardens on there, it's probably not going to come off, but it's not going to dry immediately. And then if we pulled out, I almost think you need like the contrasting colors when you're going to paint. So this one is the lemon. Let's put it up here. And I could just dip my paintbrush in it. That might be easier as long as I think it's a little too bubbly. It just doesn't want to come out. Okay, we're just gonna dip that in. And we're just going for a really nice, colorful look. And the yellow, like normally if you put yellow on top of purple, if you were using Distress inks or something, then they're going to mix and you're going to get brown. But because this is dry, we're actually getting the yellow showing on top. I'm just adding a few little yellow details. And then we need one more color. Maybe we'll do the orange. So we'll go with the tangerine. The white for splatter, it will, and we'll do that in a minute, Cynthia. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a nice bright white. I'm just dabbing after I rinse my paintbrush out, I'm just dabbing it on the napkin so that I don't have a whole lot of water. Okay. I guess we could try and take a little bit of that out. See, that one came out really nicely. And you can also water those down. If you wanted a lighter color, you can water it and it's still going to paint on. And I think I painted over part of the blue on the color wheel, but that's okay. Okay, so we've got various colors. You can also, if it's not dry, you can go in and blot it to take it up a bit. What I'm gonna do is just dry this butterfly a little bit. And then we can go and add a few little details. It is nice to have a nice fine tipped paintbrush or small brush for lots of things. If you're doing watercolor, get to watch for a few minutes, Celine. Awesome. Can always come back and watch the replay. Let's add some more of these dots because I feel like the yellow didn't really show up for us. So you can, dots are always fun. You can also do splatters with your paintbrush. And you want to make sure don't splatter your electronics or anything like that. Let's take the blue and we'll just do some marks. Now I did take a Dina Wakley, I think it's called Focus on the Sprays. It does look embossed, hey? And she had a class where she did some different techniques, and I did like that one of them was taking the nozzle and using it to make marks. I thought it was so cool. Really being careful not to knock over my spray. So I just thought it was a really great way to add some detail. You could do this with a paintbrush too, but I just thought it's so neat. And then also she did kind of like, she did the line and then you can scrape it and do just some color. So I thought that was pretty cool. Just adding some really neat lines. So then let's let that dry and I'll show you how you can then go over with another stencil. And I'm just kind of taking my time and you know, doing different layers. You don't have to do this many layers. You can stop whenever you want. I'm gonna take this piece that we had stenciled, or that we had pressed the stencil on, and I just added water to this because I thought we would add a little bit of color. And then if you're drying it a little bit in between, you can keep adding that color. Now these little bits of blue paint are going to take a little bit longer, and they're actually, I mean, the heat gun is making them bubble a little bit just because they were a little bit thicker. And it's probably better to just set that aside to dry, but for our purposes, you don't want to stencil over wet paint because that won't work very well. And if you have the glass mat, I don't want to rub hard because it'll move the camera all around. Oh yes, it dries a nice bright white. Let me do the stenciling and then we'll do some of that white. So this stencil is actually from the Fresh stencil pack. And I really love the flowers that are in that pack. But I used a little bit of washi tape just to mark off some areas. And then you can go in, and I did go in with the archival ink. This is a Studio Katia brush. It just kind of gives you another element of interest, another layer. So you can see it. And these marks are nice. You have the ability to move them around or, you know, do them in whatever color you want or shape that you want or angle. All right, so then we've got all this, looks a bit like a hot mess. But then if we go in, you know what? I'm gonna actually do the splatters on this one so you can see it, because I know if I do it on here, I won't be able to do the white gel pen. So this is the gloss spray in the white. And you can use the paintbrush or just kind of depends on what angle you get it on. But you'll be able to see how this dries. We'll let this dry while we're doing the doodling. So that's how it looks right now. It almost looks kind of like pizza. Can you tell it's like almost supper time here? I'm totally getting hungry. But don't eat your gloss sprays. Okay, so we've got it stamped, stenciled, painted. Then we can go in with, I grabbed a Jelly Roll gel pen. This is number 10. I think it's the widest tip. And then this is an old, there's so many black pens out there. This is an old Smash pen. Do you remember those Smash books? It doesn't even say that it's waterproof or whatever, but when I test, turn that off, someone's calling me. So then what I did is just go around the edges, and I would say, try to make sure your paint is dry, because I'm sure if you get paint on your black pen, that's not gonna be great. So just by going around and giving it a border, let's actually do 2 lines. And it does write over the paint nicely. But like I said, I think any black kind of writing pen is gonna do this nicely. And I think, doesn't Copic have like a fine liner or something that would probably work? So that is the first, hi Betty. So that's our line around the edge. You could go in and do doodles around that, whatever you want. I find with the white, that's kind of what really makes it pop. So then you can go and just trace our images, and we don't even have to be perfect with this. It's just making them pop. So doesn't that look good? Multi-liners, yeah. And it just makes it pop off the background. So with this color wheel as well. And we don't really need a specific focal image, but it does kind of look nice when you have, and your eye can kind of see that there's a little bit of a difference. I'm going to make a line beside these marks. We could go in as well with some paint and go in between those, just like we did here. But you're just having fun doodling. You can add some white circles. Does anybody make ATCs anymore? Do you remember those? That would be fun for that kind of an ATC background. Oh, we've got these circles down here we forgot about. And I'm totally being messy, and that's okay. And then the gel pen does dry pretty quickly. I'm just gonna do one more line around with my black. So how fun is that? Right? Like it's taken our plain background, and then you really have this really fun element that now we can make a little card with. We can pick out a saying. So you could do black or the white. I kind of like the white. We'll take this one. A dream is a wish your heart makes. What kind of white pen? Oh, it is the Jelly Roll. It's made by Sakura. And I know Sandy did have them in the shop. She may be able to get them back in, but it's just Jelly Roll number 10. I think it comes in a 2 or a 3 pack. Sometimes you can get them separately. And the number 10 I like because it's nice and wide on that gel pen end, and it seems to just go on really nicely. And then I'm just cutting this kind of like where it makes sense to read it. Although I don't know that that's, you know, I mean, it could be really anywhere. And then you're just placing this on top. And then we're actually going to take our pen and go around this. And even though when you look at it, it doesn't register that it's outlined, it just seems to make it pop. Yes, there's a sparkle one. They actually have lots of gel pens. There's a Stardust one and the white. I really love that. Cinderella. I think I missed that. Tamara. Oh, a dream is a wish your heart makes. I feel like Cinderella some days. Okay. Now, let's see. I have some background paper. We'll see if anything that I cut matches, because we may as well make this, right? You can go in and choose any papers. Let's see. I had a couple different colors. We could do the purple, and then I don't know, I'm just playing here, guys. Not the end of the story, Cinderella. Yeah, where she does the cooking and cleaning. See, this is the part that I feel like I hate not having completely ready, because, and I knew that it would depend on the colors, because I feel like it's like watching paint dry for you guys. Watching me try all these different, who makes the sentiment booklet? Yeah, for sure. It's Tim Holtz Small Talk. It's an older one. I don't know whether it's still out, and I think Sandy was going to check to see if she could get it back in. But Tim Holtz has a bunch of the ideology sticker books. I think I like this best. So yeah, there's a snarky one that we thought would be really fun to use. I think I misplaced my pin, and then for my glue, and then I had a little topper, and my topper has broken. So I think I have to order a new little topper from Sandy. Okay, we're going to use this art glitter glue. We're going to put on our background. Okay, we've got this little green piece. Oh, you're welcome. Also, for one of these, I used the Color Study paper, and you could totally coordinate that as well. Like, there's so many beautiful papers in there that you could definitely use. And then we'll use a little cutter. I am loving this little mini Tim Holtz cutter. This is not the piece I was going to use. This one is great for cards. It's the tonic, but in the smaller size. So let's glue this on, and you can see that foundations paper, even though we layered a lot of stuff on there, it really stayed pretty flat. You could also matte that in black, it would look nice. So what's everybody going to be up to for the weekend? And then I totally have to show you this. It's hilarious. This is the Studio Cadia roll of foam tape. Look how huge this is. It's humongous. I know it's out of stock right now, but you can put your email in to be notified when Sandy gets it back. And there is the 3L, I think it is. They have a large roll as well. So if you find that you go through a lot of foam tape, it's quite sticky too. One of these big ones is probably a great idea. It also helps to have scissors that are non-stick. So I have the Tim Holtz ones. But when I had ordered it a while ago, and then Sandy had gotten it in, and I laughed. My husband probably thinks I'm crazy. And then we'll just put one piece kind of also, I'm trying to work in like a 2-foot square space. So that's fun. The backing comes off of it nice and easy, which is nice. Sometimes some of the foam tapes are a little bit harder. And I do like my Tim Holtz, I always forget what the name, the pokey thing. All right, we're gonna layer it on here. It is enormous, Rosie. You're gonna enjoy the sunshine, Sheila? That sounds good. It is supposed to be nice. It is supposed to be nice. And Virginia, I think we already kind of showed that. Craft pick. Yes, why does that always go out of my brain? Okay, so we've got that. We can add a few little sequins. And so I think this one is the picket fence. There's a few different picket fence sequin mixes in the shop, but there's tons of different sequins. If you did a bunch of backgrounds up and then you kind of sat down, did some stamping, and if you wanted to do a few more than just one at a time, then that would totally work. You could do them up. You do have to just open that carefully. It likes to be opened very carefully. And then Cynthia, you wanted to see those white spots. They dried perfectly nice and white. So there's our little card all completed. Here's a look at the other ones. Thanks for linking that, Rosie. There's the yellow. So I think just by stamping and then adding that white and painting in the images, you kind of have those images popping off the background. And then you have this really nice mixed media card. And you could, even though these are all different, you could totally wrap these up and give them as a nice little gift. I cut the fronts to 3x4, and then these are just an A2 card. Thanks. Yes, you should totally pull your gloss sprays out. So, as promised, here is the list of things to use a heat gun for. And Sandy has a heat tool and a heat gun. They're just named different things, but the same kind of thing, different appliances from two different companies in the shop if you are looking for a new heat gun. So just make sure. I searched for heat and then they both came up if you wanted to have a look at them both. But one is Wagner and one is American Crafts. So these have not all been tested. So don't take them to the bank. Let's see. We can use melting embossing powder, of course. That's what you can use heat gun for. Then you can use it to dry your ink smushing backgrounds. Let's actually, I feel like I should turn you around and at least chat to you. There's only a few of us left here. But I don't want to sit on my paint box, so, okay. I'm gonna try not to move you around. So, do you have the Ranger heat tool? I actually have the Wagner one, Sheila. I love it. It's a little bit different than the one that's in the shop, but it's still Wagner, and I think it's been great. The heat is the Ranger heat one, the one that's not an embossing one, but it's more of a, like a heat tool. I'm not sure, but Ranger is makes good stuff too. So dry your ink smushing backgrounds. So if you have, ink and you're dipping your paper in the ink, and then you are drying it and dipping it again to kind of make it look like you've got those water droplets, you can dry it in between. The big one, I'm not sure. I don't have that one though. You can strip paint. So this is, I surveyed crafty friends and I watched a bunch of YouTube videos to get ideas for what people were using their heat guns for. So you can strip paint on your windowsills and casings, and there are heat guns that you can buy from like the hardware store, and you can use those, but it does the same thing. A drying tool, oh right, yes. And I think Sheila, Tim Holtz uses it for like moving his alcohol inks and stuff around, and yeah. And Virginia said we've tested the paint stripping on a small scale. And yeah, so you can strip paint or varnish. And again, use this at your own discretion, because I've not tried it. And you don't want to start a fire. You can dry your ink, gesso, and pastes if you can't wait for them to dry, like we had to do here. The Ranger tool has a larger opening, and not for heat embossing, but for drying your papers. Yeah, so if you don't want to overheat something, then that's a good option. I like, lots of heat, powerful heat. So I've just decided to go with the full-on heat gun. If you want to flatten and warp card fronts, one person said they spray them and then heat them, and sometimes that will help to even them out. Apparently you can heat fun foam and make your own stamp. I've not done that. You can move your wet mediums around on your paper. So if you have, paints or wet stuff, and probably Sheila, that heat tool would work better than a heat gun. You just have to be careful, or maybe keep the heat gun, or if you have a higher temperature one, a little further away if you're trying to move things around. Then you can do the same thing with alcohol inks on Yupo. Again, you have to be careful because Yupo is plastic and you don't want to shrink it or warp it. And oh yeah, your cheap ones are melting. Oh, the heat guns, yeah. It's nice to have a good quality heat gun, just because I know you have had some problems, Tamara, right? Like they've kind of started in flames or something. I don't know. Let's see what else. Oh, using it with shrink plastic. So if your kids have that shrink plastic, then I have done that before. You need to hold it steady or have it in a box so that it doesn't fly across the room. But my kids like to color the shrink plastic and then use a hole punch to punch the top. And if we just have one to do instead of turning on the oven, I will just use the heat gun and kind of hold it steady. Try not to move this around. You can remelt hot glue. So if you've put hot glue on something and it's in the wrong spot or you need to move it, it will actually warm the glue enough for you to move that around. You can remove stickers if you warm them lightly and then totally melt in Sparky. That's not good, Tamara. You can remove stickers. So I used to work at Zeller's a long time ago, and I don't know, I think Zeller's is just Canadian, or it was part of like Hudson's Bay Company, and we had to, it was when the price stickers were on everything, like you had to stick literal stickers on everything, and then when the price changed, you had to remove all those stickers, and so we used heat gun. I didn't know that I would be using it for crafty purposes many years later, but that was probably my first introduction. You can create wax art by melting your crayons. So if you have a piece of background paper and you hold the crayon and then you direct the heat gun at it, you can actually get the wax melting down the paper, and it's very cool. You're still using them because you didn't know where to get a good one. I'm so glad that you ordered another one, Tamara. I would be worried. If you have puffy paint or that Marvy puffy marker, you can totally use the heat gun and it puffs up, which is very cool. Apparently, so these next 4 I've never used. I just saw them on YouTube. So I don't know whether you should use them or not. So if people do resin, you can pop bubbles in the resin. If you're candle making, you can use it to smooth out your candle wax. If you're 3D printing, sometimes you get some edges that aren't smooth and you can just use it to melt them. Again, I think you should probably have ventilation if you're doing that. And lastly, which I thought was very funny, you can cook eggs or roast corn if you have a heat gun. So I don't know what kind of instance you would have electricity and a heat gun but no access to cooking utensils. But if that was the case, and I would say if it's some kind of emergency, then there you go. There, yeah, if you look it up, it's on YouTube. So anyway, that's all the reasons that you should have a heat gun. And if you don't have any reason that you would ever use those, then you probably don't need one. But I have lots of reasons to have the heat gun. I really like my heat gun. So hopefully you guys found that informative and entertaining. And I hope that you have a great weekend. Pop popcorn. Who knows? It's probably endless, Tamara. Like, yeah, the food list was really long, but I thought I would just stop at eggs and corn. So if you decide to play with some gloss sprays, we would love to see that in the Scrap Shotz paper crafting group. See you later, Sheila. Thanks for stopping in. And Melt your wax for wax seals. There you go. Like another one. What's that? 15, 16? So have a great weekend. I'm gonna play more with my gloss sprays. If anything's sold out in the store, make sure you sign up for an email notification and then you'll know when it's back and you can grab it. And stop by the Scrap Shotz paper crafting group and see what's going on, share what you're doing. We would love to see it. And I will see you next Thursday at 3. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.